Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box.
Hello, good evening, welcome everybody. Welcome to Dave's Tackle Box. It is a Sunday, the 11th of November 2012. It's Remembrance Sunday, so I hope everybody is aware of that fact. I'm sure you are. It's also a day to remember for another reason as well. And I just want to give a little shout out to Lisa of Cloud9 Vaping, who has been, from VTTV's earliest days, a big supporter of us. Without people like Lisa, we might not even be here today. She has supported us and advertised with us from pretty much day one. And Lisa today is getting married to Keith. So if you go to the Cloud9 Vaping website at the moment, you'll notice that it's offline. And the reason given, we're getting married. So congratulations to Lisa and Keith. I hope you had a great day. I hope you have a great life to come. There you go. Now tonight, on tonight's show, we've got quite a lot to cram in. So we're not going to have any ceremony here. We're just going to get cracking, I think. In a little while I'm going to be joined by the newest addition to the VTTV's team. It's somebody that a lot of people will know. I certainly know him very well. But before that, and he's going to be talking, we're going to be talking about a number of things. And we're also going to sort of do a quick review of some of the feedback that I've had on the piece that I did on my last show 2 weeks ago, which was called The Elephant in the Room. Do you remember that? Where I highlighted some concerns about standards and quality control with juice. And Dave Dawn and I kicked a few ideas around and had some discussion about that. But before we get to the elephant in the room, I want to talk first of all about a zebra in my gob. Hi, I'm Dave, and in my hand I have a funky looking little e-cig. Looks a bit like a zebra. In fact, it's called the Zebra electronic cigarette, and it was sent to me by a company called electriczebra.com. They sent me this little starter kit to review for you. I thought we'd have a little look, see what you get in the box when you buy one, and then we could talk a bit about how well it works. So it's a rather neat little box that you receive when you buy this starter kit. Let's have a look and see what's inside. First thing you get is a little card that explains that it's you can take a zebra anywhere. It also says that it's safe and legal to use a Zebra electric cigarette anywhere in the UK. The smoking ban is not applicable to electronic cigarettes as no tobacco is burnt when product is used. Then it says the Zebra produces water vapour, not smoke. so there is no risk of passive smoking. Now, that I don't think that's correct. It makes reference on the website and also on the packaging. It's not water vapour that's produced. The vapour is basically vaporised PG. So that's a little bit misleading. We don't need to pretend that there's water vapour in these things. It's not a major issue. Including a line like that wouldn't prevent me from buying an electronic cigarette, but I think if you're gonna state facts, make sure they are factual. It's not water vapour, it's PG in the vapour. It's still harmless, it's still not going to cause any problems, it doesn't break any of the smoking laws, but it's not water. So I just wanted to say that. It says the vapour is odourless and evaporates in seconds, and it then says the striped zebra is the first electric cigarette designed so it cannot be mistaken for a traditional cigarette. I kind of understand what they're saying. They're saying that because it's got a zebra pattern on it, it can't be mistaken for a cigarette. But they're not the first company to produce something of this form factor with a green LED on the end, so it can't be mistaken for a cigarette. And that's an electronic cigarette that I don't believe would be mistaken for a real one anyway. But again, I'm being very picky here. I'm being picky. I don't have a major issue with anything that's on there, but guys, if you're watching this, and I'm sure you will, you know, tell it like it is, you know. There's an instruction manual which explains what's in the cartridge, and that's all good. It refers to a study done by New Zealand Health Limited, which concluded that inhalation toxicity is not an issue with these things. It explains that they do 12 milligram and 18 milligram cartridges, and I'll a little observation on that in a minute. There's a diagram showing how the electronic cigarette works, and this particular type consists of two pieces. You've got a cartomizer, so that's got your atomizing heating coil and the juice reservoir all in one unit, which is, I would say, fairly standard approach these days, and a battery, which is nice and stripy like a zebra. And I kind of like that, to be honest. One thing that I do want to mention, and that is that looking at this on the camera, you may be forgiven for thinking this is a 510 thread, which is the most commonly available atomizer and cartomizer thread out there these days. It isn't. It's not a 510 thread. So be aware, if you're buying this kit, then unless you can do a better job than I can of tracking down this thread size, because I've been unable to identify it, you won't be able to use that with 510 atomizers or cartomizers bought from anywhere else. It's not a big problem, but it would be if you were planning on saving a few quid on buying cartomizers and filling them yourself, for example. The battery is charged using the provided charger, which I have here. As I say, it resembles most of the USB 510 chargers that you can pick up from almost any vaping website these days, but the thread is different. It's not a 510. It's designed for this battery specifically. You screw your battery in there, you plug that into a USB outlet. I use a powered USB hub, which makes sure I get good voltage and it's not connected to my computer. That's just a personal preference. When I plug this in, a red light comes on while the battery's charging, and when that red light turns to a green light, your battery's fully charged, and you can remove it, connect your cartomizer, and it's ready to use. The kit comes with a box of 5 cartridges, what they call Stay Fresh cartridges. In this particular kit, they've sent me 5 18 milligram warm roast USA tobacco flavour. I've got one of those on here. They've also, though, in the envelope that the box came in, they sent me a variety of other things as well. So I've got a menthol one here, which we'll try in a minute, and I've got a 12 milligram warm roast USA tobacco, and I've got a classic UK tobacco, also 12 milligram. So I've got 3 different types here that I'm going to try. You can see there's a spare battery, that's useful. I don't know how many milliamp hours this battery is rated at, but I probably myself, using a setup like this, I'm only probably going to get about an hour's use out of a battery this size. So it's good to have another one, because you can have one on charge while you're using this one. And that's about all there is to say about the hardware. So I've hooked up a cartridge. Let's change the camera angle and see how it works. So the first thing you notice with this is it does look rather funky, and it's funny. I received it about a week ago, and I showed a picture of it to Sav and Kat, my colleagues on Vapor Trails TV, and their immediate reaction, being women, was, ooh. They liked the look of it. And I have to say, I kind of do too. I'm not sure that I'd be brave enough to walk around in public with something like this. I think it might attract more attention. Probably attract more attention than a real cigarette, to be honest with you. But I kind of like it all the same, you know, so it is a little bit different. It's got a green LED on the end, so when I inhale, there's going to be no confusion in the dark. If you know, if you're in some dark club or bar using it, nobody's going to think it's a cigarette because of the green LED, and I think that's a good move for this type of cigarettes. I'll comment on the flavouring here. I actually quite like the flavour, and I'm not actually a lover of tobacco e-liquid flavours, generally speaking, but this one is actually kind of pleasant. I do like it. It's 18 milligram. I'm actually in the practice of using much higher strength juices, usually 45 milligram these days, because I find that gives me a much more realistic simulation of a cigarette. And when I'm just sort of vaping leisurely using devices like this, I tend to use a 24 milligram. So an 18 milligram doesn't actually provide me with any great sensation, but everybody's different. You know, these guys, they do their studies and they know what people like. So if you're trying your first electronic cigarette, 18 is probably a good place to try. Performance wise, you can see it's making plenty of vapor there. That's good, because vapor, if there's no vapor, then you're not going to get any flavour and you're not going to get any sensation of throat hit. And I think it performs as well as other devices of this size that I've tried. So when I've removed the plastic outer, you get these little caps that we vapors tend to call condoms, and we'll pop those off. And I'm just going to put those safely to one side for a minute, because I've got one thing to show you at the end of this video. I'm going to remove my old cartridge, my old cartomizer, pop in the new one, and see how it goes. Now, as with a lot of these cartomizer setups, it sometimes takes a few sort of drags to get the thing going and getting the flavour coming through. As I say, this is a very low nicotine milligram content for me, so I'm going to struggle to get much sensation from it. But the flavour's okay, actually. This one's called Classic UK Tobacco. I don't know, it might be kind of Benson and Hedges-y type of flavour. I don't know. It's not bad. It's okay. Like I say, I'm not a huge fan of tobacco flavours, but you might be. Just going to pop the menthol one on there. So again, I'm going to remove the end condoms, attach it to the battery. Making sure you don't over tighten this. You don't want to damage the threads, because then your battery will be no good. Oh, and that's actually one of the better menthols I've tried. I'm not a fan of menthol, but I'm going to show you how I'm going to deal with this issue of these odd size cartomizers not being to my taste in a minute. But I can remember at school smoking consulate, and that actually isn't a bad reflection of it. That's one of the better menthols I've tried. If you're a menthol fan, that's not bad. Just a quick word on the cartomizer itself. Like just about every sort of mini e-cig company out there, electriczebra.com and the literature that came with the product claim that this cartomizer is equal to about 20 regular cigarettes, or traditional cigarettes as they call them. I really wish companies wouldn't do that, frankly. I find the only way practically that you can compare one of these with what you used to smoke when you were smoking regular cigarettes is on how long they last. I used to smoke between 20 and 25 Marlboro Light cigarettes each day. That would not last me a full day. I would get through 2 or 3 of these, and you need to bear that in mind. I don't have an issue with that, but I do often worry that people who are researching e-cigs for the first time think that a box of 5 cartomizers is going to get them through 5 days, because it isn't. Now, I'm going to sort of balance that a little bit, talking specifically about Electric Zebra. At least their cartomizers seem to be a lot more sensibly priced compared to some. Looking at their site right now, in fact, they're doing, until the 31st of December 2012, they're doing 14 replacement cartridges for £10. The regular price is £13.95, so just under £1 a cartridge. Some companies are charging a lot more. The cartomizers are the same size, right? Everybody has a different claim about how many cigarettes they're equivalent to, and some of them are more expensive than others. So Electric Zebra, the claim of equivalence to regular cigarettes, I don't buy. However, at least your pricing seems fairly reasonable. But I'm going to show you a little trick now, how you can make these things last a little bit longer. My cartridge is empty. It didn't last me all day. I would probably use 2 or 3 of these cartridges in a day. I keep calling them cartridges. They're really cartomizers. I would probably get through 2 or 3 of these cartomizers per day. Thing is, once they dry up, when you've used up all of the liquid inside, you don't have to buy and put a new one on. These are the condoms that came. I keep them. The condoms that came on the top and bottom of the cartomizer when I took it out of the packet. What I'm going to do here is show you the condom method of refilling a cartomizer. This is a juice that I do like. It's higher strength than what was in the cartomizer originally. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a few drops, and perhaps half fill that condom with juice. I'm going to take this end, the mouthpiece end, and push it down slowly into the condom, and my juice has gone into the cartomizer. It will now continue to work until I run out of juice again. I'm just going to wipe the end of the cartomizer with a piece of tissue, because it doesn't taste as good as it vapes. And what I've got there now is a cartomizer refilled with a juice that I do like. Attach it to the battery, and it's ready to go. So here I am again. This time I've got my favourite juice in there. So my assessment of the Zebra e-cig from electroniczebra.com is pretty positive, really. If you want something of this form factor, you know, the reassurance of the size and form factor of a regular cigarette, then it works pretty well, to be honest with you, as well as others that I've tried in this sort of category. I like the looks, it's funky. Shame that you can't buy 510, it isn't a 510 thread, but hey, that's fair enough. At least you can refill these as often as you like. Eventually they'll wimp off and die and won't be worth doing that with, obviously, but I've definitely seen worse. So I hope that gives you an idea if you were thinking of getting the Zebra e-cig. Happy vaping. Thanks for watching. There you go, that was the Zebra e-cig from electriczebra.com. Just a couple of comments in chat I noticed there during this live transmission. One question was, is it just another Lucky Likey with a zebra pattern on it? Well, yes it is. But one thing that I did like, when I get asked to review these things by companies these days, first thing I do is check out their website, and if they're making any ridiculous, outrageous claims or misinformation, then I make it clear that I'm going to highlight that when I do the review. And I thought they were pretty good, actually. Their website lacks some of the wild claims made by some of their competitors. That's all I'll say at this juncture. And at less than £1 a cartridge, there's definitely worse out there, I think. It performs okay, it's not bad. Let's take our first break. See you in 2 minutes with a guest.
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box.
Good evening. Taking a while to get things lined up and ready to go then. But I'm here now, so welcome to Dave's Tackle Box.
So there we go, I'm back in the room and not long to go now. So yeah, I was talking to my son and he's watched me make things before.
VTTVapos TV tell us tonight, being Wednesday night, it is time for the one and only chat show programme called VT Talk.
Yes, it is the Haze Hour again. Keith was just saying if it wasn't for the titles, he wouldn't come and do the show. He loves them so much, doesn't he?
Alright.
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box.
And welcome back to Dave's Tackle Box. Some of you may have noticed that I've put the lights on now. The very opening section before the VT on the Zebra e-cig, I forgot to put the lights on, but they are now on, so that's good. Anyway, I've got a guest now for you. This is somebody who I think a lot of people will know already, actually. He's one of my sort of oldest friends since I started in this lark of vaping. You might know him a little bit better these days as the presenter of RY4 Radio. So I'm going to say good evening to Tim. Say hi, Tim.
Good evening, Dave.
Right, now, this is a little bit embarrassing because, you know, I mean, it's going to look like we didn't speak or anything, or, or I don't really know you. But pronounce your second name for me. Is it Boniface or Boniface? How do you pronounce your surname?
It's Boniface.
It is Boniface, just the way it reads.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Okay.
Just the way it reads,
It's quite an unusual name.
It's apparently quite common down here. It's a little bit like Smith around the rest of the country because for some reason there's just an awful lot down this way. They even have meetings once a year at a local social club so they can all get together. So there you go.
A sort of Boniface
Something
club.
you can learn, yeah.
That's
A Boniface
fantastic.
meeting.
You better explain for everybody where this part of the world is. I know, of course.
Right, it is the deep south. Basically, we're on the coast just outside of Eastbourne and 20 miles from Brighton. So it's well down in the south and it's really cold.
You couldn't get much further south without speaking French, I suppose. So.
yeah, you're right there. You can't.
Right, well, like I say, Tim is possibly the first person that I actually had a proper conversation with when I started vaping in real life. If anybody was listening to RY4 Radio a few weeks ago, in fact, we were reminiscing about it, but we're going to do it again because it's good fun. So tell me about Vape Fest 2010, Tim. What were your recollections and how did it go for you?
Well, for my recollections, basically, I arrived probably 20 minutes earlier than you. I walked through the same door that you walked through a little later on, and sitting down was Dave Dawn, Kat and Sav. And they were having breakfast, and I literally sat down and joined them and was nattering away when your face came through the door with a fresh haircut.
That's right. I'd come straight from the barbers. That's right.
Yeah, you come straight from the barbers. Yeah, so and you know, sort of looking a little lost, but you noticed the plumes of vapor flooding around, and joined us basically for a bit of a chat, pre-Vape Fest chat. And it was well early in the day. It was about 8:30, I think, if I remember rightly. So
it was.
pretty early, right?
I remember I had to catch a lift, so I was there early, and I thought, okay, well, I'll see if I can get my hair cut. And it was like sort of 8 o'clock or something when I got my hair cut. So yeah, I remember it was early, and I also remember walking into that room with everybody finishing their breakfast. It was a little bit surreal in many ways. And one thing that we didn't mention actually on RY4 Radio was we did a deal. I think I did my first ever trade, and that was with you. Can you recall what that was?
That was a box mod, wasn't it? It was a little box thing.
It was.
I can't remember what it was called. A Janty box of some sort.
It was the Janty stick, the Tech branded version. Yeah,
the Tech
that's
branded.
it.
Yeah.
Do you remember what I gave you for it?
I think it was about 20 quid.
Nah.
It may have been even less, actually. I think it was probably less.
It was a lot less.
Was it a tenner?
It was. I think I gave you a £5 and half a bottle of RY4.
That's right, you did, yes, because you just got some RY4 from Mr. Dawn with that special creamy stuff in it. So
That's right.
I thought that was going to be a good deal at the time because it had the Dolce whatever it was in it. So yeah, no,
That's right.
very good.
That was funny. But no, I mean, and I think it's fair to say we've stayed in pretty regular touch since then. And anyway, but let's before we talk about your new sort of life, the way we're going to release you on these poor unsuspecting viewers on VTTV. Tell me about RY4 Radio. How did you get involved with that?
Well, RY4 Radio, of course, Tony set that up just over a year ago, but back just after the previous Vape Fest. Now, he asked me if I would be interested in doing a show, of course, which I said yes, I would. And then circumstances at Tony's end changed a little bit, and he wasn't able to continue running it. So I picked up the cudgel, as it were, and started running the shows again about 3 or 4 weeks after the last show that Tony did. And I've basically been doing it ever since. We've got a couple of other guys, Kyle that comes in. We have a few mad guests in the studio some nights, and of course we have the legendary Skype conversations that go on till well after we're supposed to be off air. And end up talking about everything and anything. So yeah, that's sort of how it came around, and that's how how I've continued with it. Tony's now back in charge again. I've handed the leash back over.
Yeah,
to Tony,
I saw he was back, and it's good to see him back. I'm pleased for him. Not that I'm glad you're not doing the show anymore, but I mean, what is your Y4 schedule look like these days?
At the moment, it's Kyle D on Thursdays between 9 and 11. Now, Fridays at the moment, Tony and I are alternating. So last Friday, Tony was on. The Friday coming, I shall be on, and then it will carry on like that. And we're hoping to add some more presenters to the team so that we can sort of have it on a Monday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, Friday, and even perhaps a weekend show. So, I mean, that's what we're aiming for. And hopefully we'll get enough people stepping up to make that happen for us.
Okay, that sounds good. That sounds good. Now, obviously, the main reason you're on here tonight is because you, the sucker that you are, have agreed to come and do some stuff for Vapor Trails TV. I was just trying to think, you know, that's quite a common path as well, isn't it, from radio to television? I'm pretty sure that's the route that Jimmy Savile took, thinking about it. But
well, that really makes me feel great. Yeah. I shan't be going near any hospitals with my camcorder then.
Well, I don't know. You know, full editorial control, I think it says in your contract, doesn't it? But okay. So right. I think it's fair to say we're still sort of taking care of the finer points of what's going to happen. But obviously, you're going to be a regular guest on this show on Sunday nights for a little while to come, at least. And tell us what you're going to be doing.
Well, I'm going to get out there with a camcorder and get in there with the vapors, the ones that are using it in the clubs, the bars, the pubs. And I'm just going to film stuff, talk to people about vaping, go into smoking areas in nightclubs and talk to them out there. I've already got a couple of things lined up with the local nightclubs who are more than happy for me to come down and run around with a camera. So that's really how I'm going to start things rolling and put together some sort of real life stories as opposed to being a techie thing. Or a review of a product. It's going to be real vapors going about their day-to-day life with me just intruding on it for them and talking to them.
And ruining their evening by shoving a camera in their face. Yeah, I'm up for that. That sounds great.
Yeah, just running along, chasing people and trying to talk to them in the street. So.
I'm just going to interrupt you very rudely for a minute because the Jimmy Savile reference has gone down quite well in chat. And I think we're going to call your feature Tim Will Fix It.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I like that. Sorry, I cut across.
It needs a name. It does need a name. So I mean, that's as good as any so far.
That'll do for starters, won't it?
Yeah.
That's excellent. Yeah. So I know you'll get in and amongst, like you said, the vaping public. And I can't wait to see some of the stuff that you come up with. One thing that we haven't mentioned so far is your new job. You should tell us about your new job.
Yes, my new job. I started 6 weeks ago, and I am a manager of a e-cig store. Basically, it's called the Vapor Trail, and it's in the town I live in, Helsham, and that is where I spend my days now, sitting, vaping, serving the general public.
And we should point out as well that the name truly is coincidentally close to Vapor Trails TV. Yeah. Because I recall as we registered the name and started setting up Vapor Trails TV, I can't remember your boss's name anymore.
Andy Jenkins.
That's it. Andy actually contacted us and pointed out, "Oops, this is rather closely named." And but we basically had a laugh about it. We had no copyright to it at the time.
No.
But yeah, it's worth pointing out for anybody watching that Vapor Trail and Vapor Trails TV are not connected in any way whatsoever, apart from you.
Apart from me, yeah, that's the only connect. That's the only connection. So I mean, I spend my days with the vaping public, and I mean, I've met some real characters. So I mean, I've got plenty of material to work with, especially some of the folk. They really are quite funny.
God, share us. I don't want to preempt or take away any of your material for the coming weeks, but go on, share a story.
Well, I'm rather hoping. There's the guy that came in last week, and it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. He's been vaping for 3 weeks or so, and he came in with an Ego style battery with a DCC, one of those ones that you used to like quite a lot, the DCC Cartos.
Yeah, still do.
Yeah. on the top of it. And his problem was he got lots and lots of vapor when he was drawing it, but nothing was coming out.
Right.
And I watched the guy vape. I mean, you imagine we're in quite a small shop, so you can imagine we've got little spotlights on the roof, and the shop was filling up with vapor, but none of it was actually coming out on the exhale from him. He was just taking everything down, and we got to the
Right.
stage where he had tried every big mod on the shelf. I'd even got my bag out off the floor and cranked up some voltage, got some pure VG juice, and he still can't produce vapor on the exhale. And you can imagine he's sucking on it like a goldfish. His cheeks are right in, and you can't see his face. He's whited out his face, but on the exhale, there's nothing. And I found myself just saying, right, you need to take a long, slow draw. And I was showing him, and I was getting dizzy because, I mean, I show him that many times, and I'm only smoking low rent stuff, vaping low rent stuff. It's only sort of 6 milligram, but all I had in my hand at the time was an 18 milligram. So I'm getting quite dizzy. The shop's full of vapor. The guy who we share the shop with does DVDs and videos out the front. And he said it was like a scene from that movie, The Fog, where all this vapor was rolling out towards the front of the store. And every time someone opened doors, a big whoosh and it sucked it out. It was, I mean, that would have been priceless. If I'd had a camcorder set up on the table over the side, that would have just sent everybody rolling around. I mean, the long and short of it is, I don't know where the vapor's going. I mean, he is inhaling and it's not coming out. But it didn't matter what juice we tried, what voltage, what device, the vapor just disappeared into his body and never came out again.
Fantastic.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm hoping he's going to come back because it was a great hour. We just sat there for an hour. I mean, it's just crazy. But that's the story that sort of sticks out in my mind the most. From what's happened. I mean, I get the usual thing. They've lost it. They've sat on it. Their tank's cracked in their pocket. I mean, all the usual stuff. But that is the funniest thing so far. I mean, the guy's a real character. And if he watches this tonight, I'm ever so sorry.
You didn't
But
name
I had
him.
to tell
You
everyone
didn't
about
name
it.
him, to be fair. There's only you and
No.
him that really know who it is.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
What
But
was
I
his
mean, that's
name?
the sort of thing I want to try and catch. That's priceless stuff.
Well, I've got to say, I mean, you confided in me. Well, you didn't really confide in me. You mentioned to me in a private conversation a while ago that you're you're in your dream job now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it suits me down to the ground. I mean, as you know, I've been vaping since November 2008, and I jumped in repping for a couple of companies as well along the way. So really, I mean, all this just led to this job coming up, and I mean, it's fabulous.
Well, I'll tell you what. So 4 years about now then.
Yep, 4 years on the first it was.
Oh well, congratulations on that.
Yeah,
That
Yeah.
what was your selection when you started? What was your choice?
Well, the very first one that arrived was the Gamucci Classic. That was the first one that arrived. It tasted horrendous, but it sort of it did the job. And I mean, for 2 months, I persevered with that, and I didn't smoke at all during that because I was just absolutely adamant that I wasn't going to. And I just out on the internet surfing around, and I caught a Scott Bonner video,
Right.
one of his early ones, and it was for the e-cig Evo because that was the thing at the time, the 401. And I just bought a big handful of those. Well, you did need a handful of them because you need a lot of batteries for those.
Mm-hmm.
And I stuck with that pretty much until the Ego came out, or Tornado as it was then. When the Tornado came out, I'd been one. I did have a 901 as well, a little shiny silver 901. But yeah, that was sort of where I went, and the Tornado arrived, and I stuck with that until I met you at Vape Fest.
What did I do?
Because you won an Icon.
Oh yeah, my trusty Icon.
And there was you and I sitting around a table, popping the thing together, and it was like, oh, hang on a minute, this is a bit good. And as soon as I got home from Vape Fest that year, I ordered one from Lisa straight away.
I recall. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you still got that, or you parted with it eventually, didn't you?
I did part with it eventually. Yeah, I mean, I got to the stage where I had so much stuff around, and I thought, right, well, because I've got a silver one, a chrome one as well, a shiny one. I bought one of those. second hand off the classifieds on UKV. But no, I did part with it in the end, and it went to a good home as far as I know. So it's all good there. But I mean, to be honest now, I mean, I've had the Preveri for what, it must be 18 months, because it was one of the pre-order ones.
I recall you getting one, when they appeared. Yes, I remember.
Well, I ordered it off the back of a conversation with Dave Dawn, because he was getting one at the time, and we both pre-ordered. And this is still the same one, 18 months later, working faultlessly. It's been back to America once for a new glass window, and they jiggered around with some firmware or something or other on it, or something. Right. That. But that's the only time I didn't even want to send it back to have the window replaced, to be honest. But they insisted that they did it, so I sent it under warranty for that. And then I got hit duty when it came back to the UK.
Yes, do you know what? I've heard a few people comment on that. That's a subject for another show, that is, to be honest with you, because it's wrong. But Tim,
long and short is I got it back.
Yes, and it's still the original one, even though it's had a little bit of TLC along the way. Yeah. Right, we've got to take a short break now, and after that break, I'm going to be sort of reflecting on some of the comments and the feedback I got over the Elephant in the Room video that I did a couple of weeks ago. Do you want to stick around and?
Yeah, I'll stick around. I mean, I did see it, definitely. You might need to jog my memory, because it may have been late at night after one or two Russian beers.
Yeah, actually, that sounds vaguely familiar, actually. Let's take a break. See you in a minute. Well, two, actually.
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box.
GG, because you want one.
iVapor and iVapor Elixir, based in Yorkshire, for your e-cig needs. That's ivapor.co.uk and ivapor-elixir.co.uk. iVapor and ivapor-elixir.co.uk, proud sponsors of vaportrails.tv.
If you can't watch our shows live, try some of these. Go to YouTube at youtube.com/user/vaportrailstv and you can subscribe there. All of our shows are uploaded as soon as possible after they've gone out live. Enjoy watching it on YouTube. Lots of people do. Alternatively, go to Google and type in podcast vaportrails.tv and iTunes. Click on the link and that will take you to a page that shows you the Vapor Trails TV podcast. View it in iTunes, and when you get to iTunes, don't forget to click on subscribe free, and each of the shows will be downloaded to your hard drive as soon as they come out. Or you can use video on demand. Go to www.vaportrails.tv, click on vPlayer, pick the show you want to watch, in this case it's the Haze Hour, and then you can pick the episode that you want to watch from every one that we've ever done. They're all there. Under normal circumstances, you'll watch it at 360p, which means everybody can see it. It'll go full screen. You can do whatever you want with it. So there you go, 3 ways that you can watch vaportrails.tv. Subscribe and enjoy. Thanks.
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box.
And welcome back to part 3, or the final part, the bit before the end. Welcome back, Tim. Thanks for sticking around.
Yep.
Now, we obviously you saw that video that I did a couple of weeks ago. Just to recap for anybody that's forgotten, the basic point I was trying to make was that we buy a lot of juice from people who have recently set up in business, small businesses, and it was a question. It wasn't an accusation. It was a question to other vapors, really, to say, how do you know that what you're vaping is safe? I explained that when I take juice from a new supplier that I haven't used before, or if in this game, and you'll probably know this yourself, Tim, you get asked to try things and review things for people.
Yeah.
And it's now become, if I'm asked, like the zebra thing there, if I'd have gone onto their website and seen that, they were claiming, ridiculous number of cigarettes per cartomizer, and things were overpriced and all the rest of it, then I'd decline. If there were quit statements and any kind of real rubbish on the site, I would have declined. And with juice, I ask the question of people now quite simply, how do you prepare this? And when they inevitably say, what? I will ask the question, how do I know that it's not contaminated anyway? How can you persuade me and demonstrate to me that if I'm buying 24 milligram, that's what I'm getting? In the light of the Box Elder thing last year, how do you control what you've got? And I put that video on UK Vapors, and people kindly reposted the video because it's on YouTube. I think it was on Planet of the Vapes, who I never included in the little backdrop when I was showing all. I had a little graphic going in the background, and I had ECF, and I had all about e-cigs and UK Vapors, and I didn't put Planet of the Vapes. It wasn't pointed, guys, I promise. It was called editing in a hurry. So they very kindly picked that up and posted it to their own YouTube feed as well. So it had just shy of 500 views, I think. But the number of comments I got, both on the forums and through YouTube itself, I was really, really pleased with, because the whole thing was designed just to provoke a bit of thought. It was to get people thinking about who they're buying from. Because my concern is that there's going to be something dodgy go out in a bottle. It's going to get us some bad press, or worse, it's going to harm somebody. And with the MHRA still sort of sitting there waiting to deliver their judgment on things, it would not be a good time to let sort of poor standards and what we rather sort of nastily termed the kitchen sink mixers or bathtub mixers get us into trouble. So the kind of comments that I got were very supportive. I don't think I had a single comment where anybody said that's a ridiculous point, what's the problem? We had a few people saying I don't see what the big deal is in chat on VTTV as it went out, but I think I don't think I got a single comment like that. I've had so many private messages from people asking me, what do you look for? What care should I be taking as a consumer? I've even had several PMs from vendors asking what I know about insurance and what have you, and what I've had to do there is just refer them to the bigger, more established vendors and say, have a word with those guys, because I'm really not qualified to advise. But I have to say, I was very, very encouraged by it. I mean, so a question to you, my guest. Okay, so you can take off your VTTV hat now. You're now the resident expert. I mean, does this concern you? I mean, just before I let you get a word in edgeways. I mean, what we don't want to do is strangle this new industry. Cottage industries, whatever you want to call them, have got their place. It makes it exciting. It makes it interesting. But do you have any concerns about the juice and stuff that's on the market?
I do, yeah. I mean, point one is I always tend to buy my juice from the same people and have done for a long time. and I'm pretty sure that it's safe. It comes from major vendors, and it tells you what's in it on the box, which is helpful. So I sort of trust that. But what has been happening a lot, especially with people who are popping up as market traders, is they're getting unbranded bottles with no little triangle on, no kiddie-proof tops, so no chip compliance or anything, and you really don't know what's in there at all because they have no idea. I mean, from my point of view, one of the questions I get asked an awful lot in the shop is, what's in that bottle? And you have to go through explaining the primary ingredients. I couldn't tell somebody, if they asked me to break down what's in the flavouring, I couldn't tell them.
Yeah.
But all I could tell them is the stuff that I'm selling is safe, as safe as it's going to be. So I would probably not want to buy anything that I didn't know was either passed various different safety tests and was sitting on a market stall. I would give it a wide berth. I just you just don't want to inject, breathe something in that you just don't know about. Yeah.
Let me put you on the spot a little bit. You said you need to know that it's safe. What would tell you? What would give you confidence that it's safe?
Well, at least that it had been tested, and they didn't find what was the old thing they used to find? Their antifreeze was the thing, wasn't it? A few years ago with the FDA thing, everyone just throws up every time. Something like that isn't good for you. But if it's genuine VGPG or PEG or whatever the mix is, and it can actually hold their hand up and show you a certification that says that's what's in the juice, then I'm fine with that.
So it's paperwork. It's paperwork on demand if you want to see it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's important. Knowing what's in the bottle. I mean, I make my own juices. I've been making juices for 2 years, and I mean, I mix them in the kitchen on the worktop, but they're only for me. And I know, I know where I got the VG from. I know where I got the PG from, and I know I got the flavouring concentrate from, and they're all trusted places.
Yeah. Okay, no, that's a good answer. Thanks for that, Tim. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give us a little bit of light relief for about a minute. Mrs. I just want to... did you manage to catch, and don't worry if you didn't, it's not like we don't kick you out or anything, but did you manage to catch 2 shows this week that VTTV put out? First of all, the one I want to mention first is VT Talk. On Wednesday night, where Dave interviewed or had as a guest on the show Professor Jerry Stimpson, who is like, as Dave put it, a world-renowned expert on tobacco harm reduction. Did you manage to catch that at all?
I'll be honest, I haven't seen it yet, but it is on my list of to-do things because it's been talked about all over Facebook and everywhere, that show. So it's
really caused a buzz. It's been one of the most successful, and I dare say, from my own personal point of view, it's probably the best show that VTTV has ever done. The guy was brilliant. He understood what we were about, and so this is just a bit of a shout out to Dave, for what I thought was an absolute quality show. If you've missed episodes, go to that one first. That's the one to look first. Went out on what was the date? It would have been about the 8th, I guess. Yes, the 8th.
Yeah.
And no, the 7th. Was it the 7th or the 8th? If you're looking for it on
Tuesday
YouTube,
was the 7th.
It went out on Wednesday, the 7th of November, 2012. If you're looking through the archives. Absolutely compulsive and compulsory viewing. It was brilliant. So well done to Dave and the team that were involved in putting that show together. The other thing that I wanted to mention as well was Vapor Scene, which is our new show. Have you seen any episodes yet of Marco's show?
I've seen 2 episodes. He must have done 3 by now, but I've seen 2.
I believe he's up to episode 5.
Is he? Well, I've seen 2.
Doesn't time fly? So he's been going for about a month, and it's got off to a great start. And he's runs a competition on there where you have to send in a photograph, and a winning photograph wins a bottle of Flavour Art juice. So I'm just going to plug that for him just right now. We're just going to take a 1-minute trailer. And we're back in the room as Tim puts his Preveri down with a crash. But it can take it.
I'm not sure about the glass table though.
Just looking in chat, and I was just saying to Tim while I was playing that trailer, there's there are some topics that people clearly feel strongly about, and the discussion started straight away over juice labelling, because you mentioned the chip labelling, chip compliance. There's a comment there from Gillas, and he's saying that I get my decant juice from a major retailer of juices, and the labels look like colour photocopies and are blurred and difficult to read. Now that's a very valid point, and I know where you're coming from, but the fact of the matter is, because I know it's decant, I'm confident enough and happy enough to buy it personally, and that's this whole sort of dilemma, and the whole discussion on this is what actually does give you confidence, and but it's a very, very valid point. So Moonlit saying he prefers the proper shiny printed labels because the others run if you get juice down the side, and that's a valid point too. But I think at a bare minimum, I'd like to see everybody at least being chip compliant with the labelling, because even though I might know that it's decant juice and I trust the supplier and I know where it's coming from, what I don't want is to see headlines with trading standards impounding non-compliant juice. Simple as that. So anyway, Tim, we are approaching the end. I've got one little thing to go to do, but what I'd like to do now is I'm going to cut you loose. I'm going to say thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you in the coming weeks. Take care, and
I will do,
see
mate,
you soon.
too.
And thanks for being my guest tonight.
No worries, mate. Anytime.
So if you just want to hold fire there for a second, what I'll do is I'll zoom the camera in. I've had two requests to plug a couple of upcoming vape meets. So here you go. There we go, and hopefully next week I'm going to have a bit of footage from the first South Wales vape meet, actually, which was about a month ago, I think, something like that. I'm in the process of gathering together the footage. I'm going to edit something together that I can use as a trailer for the next one, but you know I like vape meets, so anybody got footage of vape meets, I'll show it. There's no problem there. Right, we're starting to get very close to the end of this show, but I've just picked up on a question there in the chat asking about what chip compliance is that we were just mentioning. So I can never remember what it stands for, so I did a quick Google during that little meet roll call, and chip refers to the Chemicals, Hazard Information and Packaging for Supply Regulations 2009, and basically it dictates the way that hazardous materials need to be packaged. So if I reach for a juice bottle, and can you ever find a juice bottle when you want one? Yes, I can. This happens to be a Flavour Art UK juice bottle, but it's like most of the ones I buy. It's got the childproof top. It has a little sort of warning triangle on the side in case you're partially sighted or blind, so that you know it contains a hazardous material. And there's some other requirements. I am not an expert on the label. I know this one's chip compliant because I know that the guy that runs Flavour Art UK is very, very hot on that. The majority of juice I buy is the same, but that's what chip is. The Chemicals, Hazard Information and Packaging for Supply Regulations. And we've got about a minute to go apparently, and my credits run for about 45 seconds, so this is it. I know that everybody's going to be looking forward to seeing Tim on the show in the weeks to come, as much as I am. I saw another comment in there saying he's replacing Dougie. No, he's not. It's not like that. It's not like Dougie or Tim. We got room for everybody. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I'm going to play the credits. I'm going to try and find the credits, and when I find them, I'm going to play them. Good night. Thanks for watching.
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box.